Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here and welcome back to the 10th day of 12 days of a scandalous Christmas story. I think I said that right this time. I hope that you are doing well, and I am so glad that you are here with me. You know, this is the time where we get to take a little bit of a nostalgic travel back in the past and go over some of the interesting stories that we have come across as that were headliners back in those particular years. Because as I've been saying, you know, at the end of the day, this has been quite a 2024 been quite a year for stories and scandalous breakthrough situations. And I just wanted to go back to a time where, I don't know, things were maybe a little bit quieter. So we'll just have to see if we will be able to continue with that into 2025. But I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past anything because the way 2024 has been shaping up, 2025 is going to just be an answering and result to 2024. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. So we're just going to stay in this mode at this point. But definitely, are you having a good Christmas time frame? Nice holiday season? You know, hey, look, if you are chilling and relaxing and not doing a whole lot this year, I totally would understand. I'm doing a lot of working myself and keeping busy that way. But I am trying to take in a moment or two, you know, to just try to enjoy the moments of rest and relaxation that I do try my hardest to do within this time of the year. But it can be so difficult, right? I mean, there's so many things going on a lot of times, or, you know, doing kind of gatherings and getting gifts and decorating and spending time with family and friends and all that kind of stuff. And it could just be a lot going on for us. But yeah, I would love to know if how your season is going and how really your day is going at that matter as well. And of course, today I am featuring my snowflake nostalgic mug. This is a mug that I used to love to do hot chocolate in. And so I thought I'd pull this out and it just felt like right for the theme. But yeah, I am again so glad that you are here. And of course, we are going to be going back to another time for another story that was quite a, well, I have to just say, I'm going to have to give you a trigger warning on this one. It is a heartbreaking story. It is one that to this day continues to be a mystery. Now, of course, it's listed under the scandalous type of storylines, which I would only have to say that it becomes a scandalous thing because we don't know really what happened. And that's where we are with the unsolved situation at this point. So let's go ahead and sit back and, you know, relax. And of course, if you haven't had an opportunity, go ahead and hit the pause button. Grab yourself a hot cup of or a cold cup of whatever you like, and then come on back, unpause, and let's just go ahead and get right on into it. So we are going to start off with, well, first of all, let's go into the year, right? Because you need to know exactly where we're going to. So where are we taking our DeLorean at this point? So we are actually going to be taking our DeLorean to the year 1996. And at this time, the number one song was Macarena. You remember hey, the Macarena. All right. I don't remember this moves anymore. It was by the Bayside Boys mix by Los Del Rio. And it was at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 for 14 weeks. And when I mean that was like kind of maybe one of those anthems of that year, it really was. I mean, there was no way you can get away with the, oh, hey, all right. You know, you couldn't get away from it if you were, you know, around. It was a time. It really was a time. Now, the number one movie was Independence Day, which of course starred Will Smith and Jeffrey Bloom and Vivica A. Fox and many other stars. And it was one of the ages and really one of those real forward-thinking type of movies, right? I mean, it was just so great, and it's still to this day a really great movie. And then, of course, one of the most talked about celebrities at that time was The Rock. Yeah, The Rock, wrestler turned action hero actor. And yeah, so I don't know if he was kind of starting out in that transition from the WWE at that time, but I think that's what was going on. So yeah, now, unfortunately, again, a trigger warning for this story. By the year, you probably know where we're going. And it is to the really unsolved situation that is of this young girl, Jonbenet Ramsey. So let's go ahead and get into the actual sharing so we can get a bit of a recap, which I don't even know if we really need one, but I'll go ahead and share it anyways. So it is, of course, coming from eOnline. And it is the unsolved unaliving of Jonbenet Ramsey. Now, 8 hours after her mother, Patsy Ramsey, frantically called police to report her 6-year-old daughter missing, the child's body was found in the basement of the family's Boulder, Colorado home on December 26, 1996. Total travesty. Now, preserving a possible crime scene, presumably the furthest thing from his mind, Dad John Ramsey had carried her upstairs and laid her down next to the Christmas tree in the living room. She had just been crowned Little Miss Christmas all at the All-Star Kids Christmas pageant in Denver earlier that month. Now, Jonbenet's unaliving caused a media frenzy, and multiple people were identified as suspects, including her parents, who weren't officially cleared until 2008. But no one has ever been charged in her passing or her unaliving, really. In 2016, her older brother, Burke Ramsey, who was 9 when his sister was unalive, sued CBS for defamation after the network's The Case of Jonbenet Ramsey seemed to implicate him in her unaliving. In an interview with Dr. Phil McGraw, Burke said that just because he seemed unemotional in an interview with a detective from that time, which was unearthed 20 years later, that didn't mean he wasn't traumatized when it happened. And I cannot imagine him not being traumatized. He further says, I would just randomly cry out of nowhere, he recalled. I guess it's a combination of sitting in there with this weird guy that I have never talked to before and asking me all of these personal questions. It's a combination of that and just kind of at some point you have to move on. I'm not saying I moved on then. It might have been kind of the other end. I didn't really get it. You have to stop crying at some point, I guess. And I actually did see that interview that they're talking about when I used to watch Dr. Phil. And yeah, it was just, it was such a tragedy, right? It was such a tragic story. And of course, even if you weren't born at the time, I'm sure you probably heard about it then. But if, you're watching this episode and you were here, you fully know about this story. I remember watching a Lifetime movie that they did about it and seeing how things were so tampered with the crime scene. And it was such, you're just looking at it as you're watching it like, oh my gosh, all the evidence, all of whatever you need is just, being, set aside in a sense and being trampled on. It was just, oh, it was unbelievable. So many mistakes, so many things. And it's just been one horrific story. And I remember at the time that it did happen, I remember when news broke about it. And I just felt, oh my gosh, what a devastating thing to have occurred. And so, this went on as this kind of unsolved thing for so many years until now, right? And there has been different episodes of shows that have tried to go back and look at evidence associated with it and try to come up with, plausible situations as to what could have occurred and who, and more importantly, would have actually done it. And I did watch a couple of those over the years myself, but it still never was anything conclusive, as of course, if it had been, we would know, and this would not be an unsolved situation. So again, the fact of this being named a scandalous story at the time, I think really just more in lines in the sense that it was an unsolved mystery that nobody understands why it's unsolved, right? Or at this point, why can't it be solved? And the thing is, a lot of technologies and methods that were done back in those times and even back before then wasn't always done in the best way. And this was a situation that befall that as well. And of course, I do remember the scrutiny that was put on the family members as well as the parents, and definitely the mother and the father. And it was just really heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, heartbreaking situation. Then it got to a point where then I guess they came through with the investigations continuing and decided to exalt the family, more or less the parents, because yes, Burke Ramsey, the son, which is the brother, of course, was also, later on made as well, maybe it had to be him. And it was just, oh my gosh, it was so devastating. of a situation. And so, unfortunately, I'm not sure what year, but I want to say maybe a couple of years after that, maybe less than that. Patsy, her mother, actually passed away from cancer, and so she was suffering through that ordeal at the same time of dealing with this tragic loss in their family, and then also then being looked at as a suspect. I mean, for so long, and the scrutiny was just relentless. If you can remember all of the news channels and stories and everything associated with it, it was just awful. So yeah, I mean, definitely, if you have thoughts about this story and in your thoughts about it, definitely keeping it respectful and thoughtful, definitely go ahead and drop those down in the comment section, because this has been one of those situations that definitely rocked everyone. It's just one of those things that you want to make sure that you always are holding on to your kids tighter, and just being there and being as vigilant as you possibly can about so many things, because it was just one of those really, really awful tragedies that happened in 1996. It really was. And the fact that it is unsolved, and I don't think they'll ever get to that point. I don't know if they ever will. But it's just a horrific situation, nevertheless. And of course, since we had such a triggering story, I thought maybe instead of really looking at a movie in which was maybe dogged a little bit as being a scandalous situation, I thought, well, we'll go for one that actually maybe did a lot better than people most thought. There's a little bit of shade in the commentary of it, but still, there is still more positive. And I think after this reference story, that we probably could use that, right? So let's go ahead and move on into that story. And of course, for Jonbenet Ramsey, may she please continue to rest in peace. Yeah, so this movie here, this is one that I actually was interested in watching and forgot about it totally. But this one is called The Last Christmas. Have you watched it? If you did, it came out in 2019. Let me know down below in the comment section. It actually looked like it was a pretty good movie. And for some reason, it just was on my radar, and then it left my radar. I remember 2019 being a pretty busy holiday season for me. I do remember that. Of course, it was pre the world coming to an end that a lot of us thought was happening as well, but that was a really busy time, and so for some reason it just got away from me. But I am going to try to see if I can I can clearly probably get a DVD. I love DVDs, but or Blu-ray or whatever. I mean, I know that sounds so archaic, but I love a library when it comes to my movies. But it's also probably someplace I can download it as well and watch it on some streaming platform. But if I can, I am definitely going to take a look at this one, because it was one that I did want to see. So let's go ahead and see what they were talking about this one, because I tell you what, they were not love, but it did get a little love, and I specifically wanted to pick that one because of the previous story that we just actually went through. So it comes from BuzzFeed, and of course, we know what was going on December 2020. The commentary for this movie was maybe weird, but Last Christmas is a great Christmas movie. Well, looky here, somebody had something nice to say. Did I by any chance say that I was featuring my mug? Yeah, I don't know if I remember to share that or not, but I feature my snowflake mug. It's a nostalgic thing. I don't know if I said that in an earlier part. I don't know if I did. Sorry. Anyways, let's go into this commentary for this scandalous situation here. So basically, the comment goes on to say it was very unconventional, no happy ending, and not too many trees except the shop where Kate worked. But it's great. Teaches you the value of life, teaches about how hard life can get, shows you a family of immigrants in the UK during Brexit, and London is just amazing during that time. I actually cry every time I watch it. And that was from a Miss Zarina Togabea. I like her last name. And then another comment about this movie was, I actually love Last Christmas. It got trashed by the critics and people hated the ending, but I thought it was really good. Emilia Clarke was great as the lead, and Emma Thompson, was really funny as her mother. It's obviously not an Oscar-winning movie, but it's definitely worth watching. And that was according to one Michael David. And I think that's really good. Sometimes I have to say, for me as well, when it comes to watching Christmas and seasonal movies, I particularly like to watch movies that are fun and uplifting and joyful in some fashion, funny, comedic, whatever the case may be. I don't really care for watching many Christmas movies or any Christmas movies that have a lot of sadness involved. I figure that, we have the other 364 years days of sadness potential, that when it comes to that day or just in that region of time, I really want to have some fun, right? I want to enjoy myself. I want to laugh. I want to feel jubilee and cheer. I want to get up on the couch and curl up with, a great fun movie and just have all the fun in that. So I don't particularly gravitate to those that have the sad stories, although, unfortunately, this is something that a lot of individuals do experience. The holiday seasons is not always the best of seasons, as also case in point, the story that we referenced in nostalgic moment just right before this one. So yeah, at the end of the day, the holidays is not always the best time for everybody, right? And we do have to become mindful of that. There is a lot of grief and loss that happens and can happen around this time of the year. I myself lost a couple of family members around this time of the year in the past. And, I think about that all the time, right? There is so many things going on. Sometimes, there's great losses and great things that have happened. When I say great, I mean largely an enormity situation that, functions throughout the year. And then when you get to the holiday season, you may not be much into it. So it's totally understandable for individuals to, want to take time to, keep to themselves, maybe not get really into the festivities, because the holidays are not always jolly for everybody. And so I know for me personally, I keep that in mind myself. And I always have my thoughts and prayers out to individuals that are experiencing difficult times around the holiday season. And, one thing that I think was interesting is that when I heard about some of the commentary in regards to this movie, I was thinking, well, sometimes that's just how it is. And you may not think that it's going to end in the way that you want, but if it's a heartwarming, great message giving type of story, then why not try to give it a watch? So it looked good to me. I'm definitely going to make sure that I do find a way to get a copy of it somehow, get a hold of it, stream it, or whatever the case may be. I might look on Netflix and see if it's being featured out there or something like that. But if you saw The Last Christmas, it came out again in 2019, let me know down below. And if you did, let me know if you liked it, if you enjoyed it. Don't worry about if leaving a spoiler here or two, because I'm going to watch it anyways. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, I definitely would love to know. And yeah, so, oh gosh, I think that'll about do it for the 10th day of the 12 days of A Scandalous Christmas Story. And I appreciate you so much for being here. I most certainly am so glad that, we're able to spend this kind of time to kind of just sit back, relax, and do something a little bit different for the channel. I've really been enjoying doing this. And, we only got a couple more days to go, right? The 11th and the 12th. I mean, we're almost there. Yeah, but I'm super excited that you have been here with me through this time frame. So definitely leave your comments and thoughts about both sharings in this video. And yeah, I just again, just so unfortunate, sometimes the holidays, and this is just an example, this video really does share an example of how sometimes the holidays is not the best time of the year for everybody. And it can be quite tragic to maybe being important for other reasons besides all the commercialism that's attached to it. But we always must never forget it, and at least in my feeling and thoughts, of course, is the reason for the season. You can never forget that. So yeah, with that, I think I'm going to bid you adieu for this one. Definitely leave your thoughts down below, and we can definitely conversate in the comment section below. I look forward to that as always. And of course, if you are new here and hadn't had an opportunity to hit that subscribe button, I hope that you will and be a part of the family, be part of the community. I would so love to have you. Also, be sure to keep your notification bell on so that way you don't miss any of my future uploads, and definitely so you won't miss tomorrow's 11th day. I mean, I cannot believe that we're already on day 10. But yeah, the 11th day is coming. Christmas is around the corner. So if you are doing all the festivities associated with that, feel free to share that down below as well. But it's coming quick. And, have you finished all your shopping? You finished all the things you need to do? You're checking your list multiple times, And definitely, if there's any movies that you are watching or enjoying, let those down over there in the comment section, because I'm always, like I said, looking for a great Christmas movie to take a peruse at that I may not have already seen. But yeah, with that, I think I'm going to bid you adieu. I thank you so much again for being here. You take care and be blessed, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.